A new study underscoring the potential benefits of E15. Data shows unrestricted sales of the fuel could have a $25 billion economic impact while also helping to create a home for the increased corn production. Krista Swanson with the National Corn Growers Association joins us now for more. Krista, a pleasure. Thank you, as always, for being here. Let's talk about some of the findings, the main impacts this could have for the economy as a whole.
Yeah, so like you just said, this study, we wanted to look at what would be the impact of unrestricted, nationwide, year-round access to E15 at its full adoption. And we found that it would add $25.8 billion in economic activity. So that is greater contribution to the U.S. GDP, support 128,000 additional jobs across the economy, and $10.3 billion in incomes for workers.
Wow, pretty impressive numbers, no doubt. Of course, we know that corn growers are expecting a record harvest this year. This crop does need a home. You see these higher blends being the answer here?
Yeah, I think it's one piece of the solution. I don't think there is any single answer. As we look at this year's harvest, a record 16.8 billion bushels projected to be harvested. I think that as we look ahead, not only is the U.S. going to have a record crop, but globally we're looking at a record crop. So, like I said, E15 certainly one of the solutions that we need to be looking at and doing something with right now. Are we going to reach full adoption right away? No, it's going to take some time, which is why it's all the more critical that we start enforcing some policy to allow for E15 and other types of market-based solutions to be able to take effect.
You're mentioning policy. Of course, Congress right now considering the Nationwide Consumer and Fuel Retailer Choice Act of 2025. How do you see this data playing a big role in these decisions?
Yeah, well, I just got home from Washington, D.C. yesterday, had been out there this week. We had growers from across the country out there referencing this study and also just sharing the story about the critical economic situation that farmers are facing and the need for this piece of legislation to get passed. Our call for Congress is to figure out a way to get this attached to a must-piece pass of legislation this year.
The importance, Krista, of being on the Hill, being in front of these lawmakers. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that we can get in those legislative offices, meetings with agencies and, the folks out in Washington, D.C., I think it's really important to hear from us why it's important for farmers to go out there. We can produce studies like this and put out numbers. But I think when they can really hear from farmers and, those of us working in the industry, hopefully that can help move the needle.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Krista, for joining us. Chief Economist for the National Corn Growers Association. That is Krista Swanson.